Hello and welcome back to Pulp Kitchen. I'm okay.
He's alive.
I'm alive. Thank you for bearing with us last week, guys. It was a bit of a sort of a changing situation, and
Our patrons already know George is alive.
James, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The patrons already know. They got a sneak peek. That's what they pay
That's
for.
what you pay for.
That's
is
what
to
you
know
pay for.
when one of us goes to hospital, when we confirm that they're alive, you will be the first to know. It's George's friends and family,
Yeah.
the patrons,
Yeah.
and then the rest.
There's a whole press list of how it's meant to be done. As James mentioned last week, unfortunately, I had to go into hospital for something. I was absolutely fine. It's just an infection that got out of control and then had to be dealt with, and I ended up having to have a general anaesthetic operation.
And sorry, it was really like one of the first times outside of like a holiday which we'd pre-planned,
Yeah.
where we literally couldn't record online or in person. Like we could not get you to be on camera. Like it was just complete. Like we were without an episode for the first time.
I like to think that you were downstairs in the reception area of the hospital being like, damn it, do you know who I am? That man up there.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what he thinks about Richard Linklater's Before trilogy?
And you want me to tell the listeners that, do you? I suppose you want me to tell all the listeners.
I need to tell him about what I think about Avatar. I've seen Train Dreams.
Meanwhile, I'm like, eep.
George? No, he's fine. He's fine. Wake him up.
But yeah, anyway,
I was giving Guy Pearce from The Brutalist there.
Oh, yes,
sort of like, what in God's name is going on here?
Anyway, an escalating situation that, like I said, ended up I had to stay over in hospital. I had to have the surgery, but I'm all fine. I just needed a week to rest and recover.
I've seen some gnarly pictures this morning.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. That doesn't matter what level of Patreon you're at. You're not seeing those.
Well, it's not throwing some numbers out. We'll see. We'll see.
Anyway, I'm back and I've rested, and obviously in my time off though, I've had a chance to watch things, and I had a situation last week, James, whilst this was happening.
Yeah.
Where before my surgery, I had to go in at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And I had to wait for them to come to me at some point in the day to operate my surgery. Now, technically, I was second on the list, but obviously emergencies happen overnight. It wasn't a high priority.
Yeah.
So I had to sit and wait. And they did come out to me. I got there at 8. At 10:30, the nurse came out and said, "Hi, how you doing? Just so you know, it might be a while." And I was like, "A few hours?" And she was like, "Oh, more than a few hours." So
I feel like NHS. That's all day.
That's all day.
You didn't just want to be like, "Do you know who I?"
No,
You'll kick yourself when
Guess
you go home.
the movie.
Guess the movie.
Anyway, and which was totally fine. I was very patient. I was just very happy to be seen, regardless. But I was telling James I was nil by mouth, which means I couldn't eat anything that day because I was waiting general anaesthetic. I had to also basically stop drinking water. Could only have sips of water from like 12 o'clock
That's
onwards.
tough. That's food is like obviously maybe you maybe harder for you. Like food, I'm actually okay with in a lot of senses, but water I find really difficult.
I actually think I think I managed very well. I mean, there is a point to the story I'll get onto, but like I actually think I managed pretty well because I think I'm very good at disassociating. So even though
I'm used to doing it when I review films.
even though I ended up being in the waiting room, which is smaller than this room, for 11 hours, I just somehow managed to just sort of compartmentalize it in my brain, did okay. And I wasn't really craving food because I was sat, motionless. Yeah. I wasn't burning any energy. So it wasn't like my body was craving anything. Yeah. But regardless, I was sat there for some time. So James, what do I do with my time? Of course. Yeah. And I thought at some point I have to watch a film because even though I know a waiting room of a hospital is not the ideal place to watch something, I know no director intends it to be watched.
James Cameron's not telling people that they should watch Avatar, Fire and Ash in an NHS
exactly.
waiting room.
So I was like, okay, but I should watch something to break the day up, and I'm glad I did because it was a long day. So I decided to watch, James. Would you like to know what I watched?
Yes, please.
I decided to watch the 2022 movie The Good Nurse, starring Jessica Chastain and Eddie Redmayne. Now, specifically, I wanted to watch this because it'd been on my watch list for many years. and it kind of came and went. It's kind of like a post-COVID movie. I don't think it got a lot of push, but like Eddie Redmayne got nominated for a BAFTA for it. And I heard good things. Anyway, I'm sat in this waiting room and I'm like, what do I fancy watching? What do I fancy watching?
The Good Nurse.
Most people would have gone for something completely different, like Paddington.
Escapism.
Yes.
Warmth.
And I was like, no,
coziness.
I want to watch a movie about a nurse who may be killing his patients. So I put that on. And I will just say, great movie.
Great.
Really solid watch. I have to say, tonally, it felt very much like a Dark Waters, like you're watching a disaster happen, but a very different story, of course, but clinical, cold, a critique on the American healthcare system as well.
Yep.
It's got everything. So that is The Good Nurse. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. And I recommend watching it in a hospital waiting room. And then
Fluorescent lighting,
it just all worked. And it was seamless.
It's immersive theatre, if anything. Yeah.
And if you've seen the film, you'll know this. But like when I went into surgery, there was a moment when I was looking at like the saline bags. They were attaching to my arm, and I was a bit like, anyway, and then the other film I watched in the morning, because I didn't get discharged till late in the afternoon. I was like, what do I watch? And I decided to watch a mob movie.
Yep.
Have you ever seen Donnie Brasco?
Oh, no, but I know of the film.
Johnny Depp, Al Pacino.
Of course.
1997, based on a true story. Donnie Brasco is about Johnny Depp, who was an undercover FBI agent in the mob. One of the like early examples of undercover work, actually. It became like an exemplar study. This is 1997, so Al Pacino is the mobster Johnny Depp's shadowing. And Al Pacino is in full... percent of a woman, 90s. What do I got?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? But it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
I have to just say this. It's like Michael Madsen's in it, Bruno Kirby. It's directed by a Brit, actually. It's directed by Mike Newell, who directed The Goblet of Fire and Four Weddings and a Funeral. A lot of people think that Richard Curtis directed that, but he didn't. He just wrote it. A good solid watch. Again, I just want to recommend that to people. Whether or not you're in hospital or not, a good solid watch if you want to watch a movie that's both about undercover FBI agents, but also about kind of Al Pacino as a mobster having a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
He's like a middle manager level, and he gets passed over for a promotion in it. Yeah. But in this world, it's about like running a nightclub and like extorting people. Anyway, so I'm back, I'm on my feet, and I have actually seen lots of other movies in my recovery time, but we'll talk about those on a bonus.
Yep.
But today, James, thank you for managing the fort.
Yeah, you went down at the worst time of the year. I know you didn't choose to, but literally clinging on for dear life. And we were just saying this. Everyone I've spoken to is completely finished with this year, emotionally, physically. It's just not been... I can only speak for myself. It's just like, I usually enjoy the busyness that November, December brings. Because yes, it's busy, but it's parties and it's events and it's run up to building to something. Yeah. You're running around, but generally like you're with people. It's very social, especially in like media and entertainment and just general, like in London, I've always loved it. This year, I've really not enjoyed the busyness. I've been totally ready to like you and I've been trying to finish off all of our obligations and things to do, all fun stuff. And I'm not like complaining, but I've just really found this last few weeks fucking awful. Yeah. I'm so ready to finish. And then you went down, like I didn't have an episode. I got to do Double Take Alone, and like I got to see all these films. Yeah. I still haven't seen them all. That's so crazy. Yeah. So I'm going to review Avatar: Fire and Ash today. That's good. I've got so much to say about it. It's obviously a massive film. I went to the premiere, which I'll talk about very briefly. I've seen The Housemaid, which I'll be covering in another episode very soon. And we've both now seen Train Dreams, which we're really excited to talk about. I've also seen Jay Kelly, which is like, again, I know something we're a bit late to because of recording, but we're going to cover that as well. I've seen 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, but I'm embargoed until the new year to talk about it. They've screened it very, very early for us. That and Song Sung Blue, just weeks ahead of the release. So yes, I've seen it. Stay tuned for coverage in the new year.
So with all the business, though, we do have lots of content coming your way. So if you're thinking, how am I going to spend my train ride home for Christmas? Or if the family are getting in your hair at Christmas, you want to go upstairs and zonk yourself out, we've got you sorted. I've also seen Wake Up Dead Man.
Yes.
I've also caught up on a few 2025 releases that we missed. So I've seen The Long Walk. I've seen Good Fortune, the Aziz Ansari movie. And I've also seen Goodbye June, which is coming out on Netflix on Christmas Eve. And I have an interview with the cast coming out with that as well. So guys, you are sorted. You got loads of content. But obviously at the moment, the big movie is Avatar: Fire and Ash. Nice to see a new colour in the poster. That it's not just blue, it's a bit of orange now.
Yeah, there's fire in this one.
Yeah. Ooh, and a bit of ash.
There's lots of fiery things going on at the premiere. Lots of like, the fake material fire.
Oh, yeah.
Where they like
for like a crap nightclub.
Yeah. They, I will say, so if you're in London, you know this, the BFI IMAX, incredible screen. And it's a remarkable use of a roundabout. Really incredible. They did not need to build Europe's second largest screen in the roundabout at the BFI South Bank, but they were like, no, it's like a fantastic use of city planning. But the unfortunate way you get into the BFI is you walk through constantly piss-sodden underpass. It smells so bad, and it's getting worse. And I have to always hold my breath. George, they dressed up the ring road around the BFI, the underground ring road, so well. Like obviously it was all carpeted and lit, and there's people and press, and I was like, they have done this place up.
No
This
whiff of
looks-
piss.
No piss. They must have got a jet wash and absolutely hosed it down. But yeah, no, that was very nice to see. And my first actual premiere at the BFI IMAX.
Oh, really? Okay,
And I think probably because of he wanted to do the IMAX, the 48 frames, the
totally,
everything, the
yeah.
singing and dancing, the 3D, everything, which I will get onto in my review. But yeah, should we go straight into it?
I think we should. Let's crack on with Avatar: Fire and Ash. So Avatar: Fire and Ash, just things to say, I haven't seen this movie. I actually haven't even seen the second Avatar movie. It's kind of passed me by. Don't hate me, guys. It's just a franchise I feel a bit arm's distance for. I have quite warm feelings about Avatar 1. We did a rewatch of that a couple of years ago when the second one came out. But James, take it away.
Avatar: Fire and Ash. My thoughts on Avatar: The Way of Water quite well documented on this podcast. I'd say I don't know. I think my last crash out was at the Hunger Games movie.
Yeah.
The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I think that was my last real
Megalopolis.
crash out. Oh, Megalopolis. Yeah,
I mean,
it's its own category.
Joker 2?
I don't think I crashed out with
No.
Joker 2. I think I really sort of
Kinds of
lost
Kindness.
it. Yeah, potentially. There's a couple knocking around. And I remember, just finding Avatar: The Way of Water really trying, and I had some very specific problems with it in relation to boring characters, spending far too much time just being underwater and the beauty and the this and just being really safe and really dull. And I think if you listen to the show, I've often talked about I really don't know where Avatar sits right now. And I feel like Avatar is a franchise, and I've really checked this in the weeks leading up to what's technically going to be the biggest film release of the year. It still remains to be seen.
Yeah.
It's out on the Friday we're recording. Remains to be seen how well it's going to do. I've anecdotally and just spoken to other people, really doesn't feel like it's getting anything near the same push that the other two have got, and anything as big as what you'd expect a film this big release, a film release of this magnitude to get.
Despite the BFI IMAX.
Despite the BFI IMAX. I know, yes, Tori, it did get a premiere and there is some stuff rolling out, but it feels no way near as big as just like some other Marvel movies that come out, which probably cost half the amount of money. And just generally, we've said this now a few times, especially on Double Take, I don't know who is waiting for another Avatar film. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the main thing that people talk about Avatar is how much money it makes. And I'll concede the technology is a big part of the conversation. But it seems to be known for how much money it makes more so than like the plot itself.
Yes.
And what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I agree. No, you're right. I don't. We've mentioned this on Double Take,
Yeah.
but it's not like I come across forums and chats and people go, "Oh, where's the story going to go next?
Yes.
Oh my god, what happened in the last one?"
And I'm really feeling that now as we're coming to the third one. It's like Avatar is the most popular but least relevant film franchise ever made, in my eyes. Like, even I'd argue something like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World.
Yeah.
You know, people don't wonder about theories as it comes into it, but I almost feel like there's more of a love and an affinity for Jurassic. It's got 15 years on Avatar,
Yeah.
but like there seems to be something more tangible that audiences connect to about that than there is for Avatar. I'm also going to caveat this, like we're reviewing this as British people in the UK, and I know that Avatar does absolute wonders internationally, and I'm sure people around the world may have a completely different connection to Avatar and what it represents, but I'm just going to speak for like our representation in the film sphere in London. I think we can kind of agree it just kind of is what it is. And so, there's no other series films that is enjoyed and consumed by so many people, but I don't think it holds that much relevance.
No.
You've only seen the first one,
Yes.
and you actually didn't see it in cinema. And I'm always kind of saying, you actually, you not seeing this film, I don't think really matters to like understanding the pop culture moment in cinema. I think you understand what Avatar 1 was, and I think Avatar 1 was absolutely brilliant. And I just think like here we've got another one, and those were like really in my head as I went to go and see this, and I went to the premiere. For the rough plot for people who don't know, this is Avatar: Fire and Ash, the third Avatar film.
May I ask at this point, will your description of the plot this ruin the second one?
Mild spoilers of 2, but not really.
Okay.
It's kind of, you get it.
All right,
Do you know what I mean?
It-
Like
it's
the same
blue,
thing.
yeah.
So we pick up with Jake Sully and Natiri as they have now settled in with the Metakaina clan, the water people.
Of course.
When they are on a trading route, they encounter a hostile Na'vi clan called the Mangquan clan, fire people.
Thank you.
Also known as the Ash clan, colloquially, for time. And they are led by the fiery leader, Varang, who's brilliant in this.
Very
by the way.
fiery.
Absolutely. Yeah, very fiery. Her whole thing is that she's not like a Na'vi of God. She doesn't really respect Awas. It's a really interesting dynamic there where, like, you know, all the Na'vi kind of have the same thing of like, be good to nature, take from the earth, but give back, circle of life. She goes on this big monologue about how like a volcano erupted and destroyed her family, and Awa did not come, so she's not really of the same spiritual level, which is quite interesting.
Do we know the actor?
Yes, it is Una
Chaplin.
Una Chaplin.
Oh, yeah, from Game of Thrones.
Brilliant in this. Yeah, she's really, really, really good. Quaritch remains in pursuit of Jake Sully and gets tangled up in the conflict between these two clans and ends up himself siding with Varang, and therefore deepens his connection to the Na'vi. What you would have missed in The Way of Water is that
Quaritch was
Quaritch
back.
is basically his consciousness as a human was uploaded into an avatar.
Yes.
So though the version of him that fought Jake technically died, he is still Quaritch very much.
Because they needed a villain for the second one, and they
just brought him back, and they'll do the same thing. Quaritch's son, biological son of his human body, Spider, which is something you missed in the second one, remains a part of Jake's family. He is still human and cannot breathe without an oxygen mask, and that remains a sort of a big issue as he, in the early parts of the film, is running out of oxygen. Jake Sully and Neytiri very much like, he can't stay here. He's not one of us. Big asthma attack every time that mask runs out. You know, so they get
said as someone who has asthma, by the way, before I get any flack for that. Yeah.
And they get into fights. He falls asleep. Sometimes his mask runs out, and it becomes a really big problem. After the
plot device, I smell a plot device.
And then Jake's family are obviously, mild spoilers for you, George, reeling after the death of one of their sons in the last film. It becomes this big question of, this person is not our son. There's this big strain on their relationship now, and they're sort of realizing they need to like hunker down and really focus on what keeps them alive and what keeps them together. So I think when I think back on, and it sort of, we evolve into a conflict, and it just sort of, there's the Earth people who want to harvest the oil from the whales because it makes them money, all of that there.
Capitalist greed is still in there, yeah.
Capitalist greed, totally there. So I think like one of my problems with The Way of Water was that I found that Jake Sully and Neytiri kind of sucked a little bit. And they unfortunately Neytiri especially became very whiny and sorrowful and not these like fun young people that they were in the first one. And Jake as well in the first film was a really great protagonist. Although generic, we discovered the world with Jake. He was a Marine, but he transferred over. He got his legs back from someone who's disabled, which is a really great plot device. Someone like, it gives him a really great incentive to want to like keep progressing through. He falls in love. He discovers a deeper connection to nature. That is like a really great protagonist center point for the film. And in the second one, and also in this a little bit, he becomes this very like authoritarian, obligation-fulfilled dad where he very much just like restricts his children. He's no longer this like fun Marine who discovers the world. He kind of becomes a bit like, no, you've got to stay here, bound by duty. And that's kind of true in this one. And my main thing is that like we don't really know now whose film the Avatar film is. Jake Sully is very much less of the protagonist. You've got the kids, you've got Neytiri, you've got Quaritch in this, who's really, really good actually. I think Stephen Lang is doing really, really great, interesting work. His interactions with Varang, Una Chaplin, they have this great electric chemistry as they both realize they can use each other. There's a sexual element to it. There's both like profiteering and jealousy and greed. And although it takes a long time to get there, I'm like, this is more interesting. Quaritch is a more interesting villain because he's actually connected to something relating to this world. Although interpreting it differently to Jake and Neytiri, it doesn't necessarily make it invalid. And when those two were on screen together, I was like, this is really, really great. And I'll say across the board, great acting all round.
Great.
Everyone really feels like they're into this movie and they're really going for it. I've already praised Una Chaplin and Stephen Lang, but just like Zoe Saldana's doing great work. Sam Worthington's doing great work, and all of the stuff relating to the tech can't be expressed enough about how brilliant these performances are captured in these movies. It's almost like you want to sort of forget about it and get lost in it, but you do watch these films, and it was true of the last one. I look at this and I go, these are so, so great, and it's so, so important to say, you know, we shouldn't say Zoe Saldana, for example, voices Neytiri, because that's an underselling of exactly what she does.
You know, she is
it's a full, robust performance, and they give everything into it, and it's like anyone who's first really discovered seeing Andy Serkis do work with Gollum. Anyone who's played like really intense narrative video games knows how much goes into this technology. And you do see it, and it does sing, and it is really, really good. There's some absolutely brilliant action scenes in this film, and genuinely some moments, especially when their trade route is first intercepted by the Fire Clan. You're like, this is just brilliant and immersive, and we're jumping, and the whole choreography of a fight and a conflict in a digital space is fantastic. And you add all of the bells and whistles of cinema, and I go, this is actually a lot better. The film gets on with it, which is an improvement over the second one for me. We are not languishing for as long in just talking about the beauty and the nature of Pandora and Awa. I know that's still a very important part of it, but a lot of my problems, or like main problems with The Way of Water, are kind of adjusted. Like Jake Sully, I still think has a generic, slightly dull parental feel to this, but there's a few more interactions he has with Quaritch which I just find more interesting to me. And so actually I would say it's a big improvement for me from The Way of Water. I still think Avatar 1 is a much better film in terms of just my interest and how long the film takes to do what it does. But Fire and Ash, I'm like, this is totally competent. I have a problem with Spider as a character. I find his whole thing about like, oh, is he going to be able to breathe? He's Quaritch's son. It's not the performer's fault. I just think he's a really boringly written character. I do not like him. I don't find him interesting. He's very reactionary. He doesn't really have much of an opinion or an effect on the plot, but a lot of time in this film is given to him, and I just think he kind of sucks. And in a film this long, which I will get onto, I'm just kind of like not interested in you.
Yeah.
I don't find you particularly smart. I don't find you particularly engaging. You don't look cool. You don't sound cool. You can't really do anything. You're mainly an inconvenience to anyone who encounters you. And I just think like you're just not that cool. The film spends a lot of time with this character. I'm like, you're just badly written, which is a shame. So the biggest problem with Avatar: Fire and Ash, and this is true of the last one, is that this film is way, way too long and drawn out. The film is 3 hours and 18 minutes long, okay? And I really, truly, truly believe there is a fantastic 9 out of 10 film in this if you were to cut it down to 2 hours and 15 minutes, which, by the way, George, is still a fucking long film. Yeah. But I really, really believe that.
So cut an hour off of it.
Cutting about an hour off it. I really, really do. And it reminds me a lot of when directors say, yeah, I've got the first cut of my movie, it's 4 hours and 10 minutes, so I'm going to need to cut it down. And I almost wonder if James Cameron has made so much money with these films. He made 10 billion off all of this. Nobody is like going to be the person in the room to say, James, you need to cut some of this down because it's far too long. I'm not anti really long films.
No.
Many times if you listen to this podcast, you and I have watched very, very long films and we've gone, the story deserves this runtime. I'm not saying it's like going to be a convenience to watch, but there's really some stories that deserve to give the time and the space to breathe. Avatar for me is not a story that needs this much time. This isn't a complicated story that needs all that runtime. And so when I'm left in the cinema, sitting there for 3 hours and 20 minutes, I've got nothing else to do with my time but to start to wonder of why this character is even in this altogether, or to get a bit bored. And there was a moment genuinely through this film where I was checking my watch and I knew a little bit about the time, but I maybe didn't check my watch for a while and the plot got really busy with what I swear felt like Act 3 stuff. When a character goes into a place where you feel like there's a crossroads and like something should come to a close and then we wrap and there'd be a fight, and it wasn't. And then they sort of go, like a character goes back in and regroups, and I was like, we're not winding to the end. And I checked my watch and I had another hour and 30 minutes. And it was just that moment where I was like, God, I've got another whole
movie
to watch that's still going on. And it's like, it's not that the length is there, it's that the film is not complex or depth enough, I think, to need this much time. So I just wonder why you insist on, having this really arduous runtime for a simple story. And my first thought, it's like watching V1 of a film, like just take some of this stuff out. Like a director who hasn't made his cut yet. So I'm leaving this film thinking, I've not had a really bad time.
No.
I'm not overly irritated and annoyed by the film. And again, there's really nothing badly made about it. Like the technical mastery of what's going on, I really think is second to none. But But just at 3 hours and 20 minutes, a story just does not demand that much time. And it just leaves me with time to pull it apart and start questioning it. So if I'm to genuinely think about like who I recommend this film for, if you're someone who is already excited to see Avatar Fire and Ash and you've loved the last two, I think you're going to have a very good time and you'll probably enjoy this more than The Way of Water, because I think it's a little bit more action heavy. The characters are a little bit more interesting. The visuals are still amazing. I personally feel bad recommending someone spends 3 hours and 20 minutes of their time if you're already not really into this. I do think you're going to find it a real test. And James Cameron, this week, given the news of streaming, theatrical, the whole political environment around theatrical release, has made all of these comments, and rightly so, about, you know, Avatar was designed to be enjoyed in a theatre, to watch it in one go. And he said it's an experience that takes 3 hours and 20 minutes long, and you should experience it in one go that way without interruptions. And I'm like, James, you're right in the spirit of, you know, going to see a film all at once, but maybe you should also like respect that people have other stuff to do. You've been making these films for 15, 20 years, but like, I've got other stuff on. I've got other films I want to see.
Also, let's be like, you saw it at the premiere, but most people will go and see this film and there's going to be half an hour of adverts beforehand. And, you know, trailers and adverts included. So let's say you're going to a 2 o'clock screening. You're coming out at 6 o'clock. Now, I find that is insane, particularly in this time of year when you go in at 2 and it's daylight, you come out at 6, it's pitch black. It's half a day. And I do almost think filmmakers forget that, because they every time they see a film, they don't usually go to the cinema. They can see it in screenings, or they forget that kind of extra layer that goes around it, and the commuting time to go to the cinema. You know,
so to tell most people that like, you should go and see it in the cinema, and it's a big event, big screen, big tech film. It will sing on the biggest screen. But I'm also like, you need to have the time and the bladder control to like really start. And I will say, it was a premiere, and there's lots of like film people there, but also just like general influencer people there. I found, compared to all the screenings I've been to at the BFI IMAX, I found the audience very restless, up and down to the toilet, a while to settle. I had women talking a lot with her son next to me, which is quite irritating. People talking behind me, and that's just happening in my quadrant. Like, I'm sure in general, I just felt it took a long time, and I felt 2+ hours into the film, I'm like, people are shuffling. People are not comfortable. People have been sat now for a very long time. We had James Cameron like Skype in on the IMAX and do a talk. We came out like, you know, just if it wasn't 20 minutes of ads, it was 20 minutes of prelude and all of that. So it's not a bad time. I find it hard to people who listen to this show, who think about, I don't know, like a genuine film recommendation. I think if you're not sure, I wouldn't rush out to see this. There's no like intellectual relevant conversation that I think you can gain, or something to really feast on that you're gonna see this intellectually and want to write in about. The question still is like, is this going to make loads of money still? And is there still an appetite for it?
So I'm curious I'm just gonna look it up. Avatar 1, I want to check the runtime for that. I think it's probably 2 hours 45.
Yeah, I bet 2 hours 40.
Yeah, 2 hours 45, and like, so they've added half an hour. Still long, but much that extra half an hour, technically 35 minutes that they've added, is significant.
Yeah,
and I think it does make a difference. I think audiences can tolerate long film lengths in the same way you and I can.
Yeah.
And they have grown accustomed to them. And, you know, it didn't stop Oppenheimer from doing... And Oppenheimer, in many ways, when you look at it, is a much harder sell than something like Avatar, which is all about spectacle and has a momentous plot. But, I think
it's not boring, which I think Way of Water really started to bore me. I am starting to find the plot structure repetitive. This whole, there's a scene when the humans do something really disrespectful to an animal. And if we pray hard enough, all the creatures come in at the end and save. All of that's still kind of knocking around. And Korich sort of dying but never dying and coming back as a villain. It's like, it's just one idea that we're drawing out. And I really do mean we're drawing out this story. Nothing about Avatar 1 felt drawn out. I felt you've told a really big story that's been crafted over a really long time.
So does, obviously without giving away any spoilers, but... are we setting up for more and more films? Yeah,
it ends the movie, but it doesn't end the major conflict that Avatar currently sits in. So there's loads of room for them to go on and make more. I would say, personally, you should do one more. You've had your first one, and then you've got this, like, I think they should do a trilogy. So 2, 3, 4. I think to do 2 more of these, which I think is the plan, is just going to draw this thing out. Unless you inject this with like a real sort of like a plot spanner and a twist and inject it with new life. I'm so uninterested in discussing it. I want to talk about tech very quickly,
Please
right?
do.
So I've already showered it with praise for the fidelity, everything that all this filmmaking stuff, which is genuinely incredible. It was incredible in 2009. It's even better with The Way of Water, and it continues to be amazing now. Like James Cameron has really sort of set himself in this new world of filmmaking, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen. And it's still, I do want to give it its flowers because it's genuinely amazing. This film I watched in 3D, okay? And the last film I saw in 3D was the last Avatar.
Yeah.
And I think before that, I actually saw The Rise of Skywalker in 3D because I watched it in Cape Town and that was the only option.
No, and not to mention your Little Mermaid experience as well.
Oh,
right?
yes, Little Mermaid. True.
Yeah.
That was Little Mermaid one. And it's like this real sort of last few remaining. I really think I was only because I was in Cape Town that it was showing in 3D that I saw Star Wars in 3D. But there's very, very few filmmakers doing 3D anymore. And I really feel like, you know, in this new era, we talked about this a lot of Pulp Kitchen 200 and just general, I really feel like Hollywood is starting to lock in what we consider to be this very premium immersive experience. And I think people are deciding that it is large format filmmaking, whether that's IMAX projected in film or VistaVision. I feel like that is being solidified as the go-to pure total immersion, highest fidelity cinema experience. And filmmakers, for the most part, have abandoned 3D. And I've not seen a 3D film in so long. And if I have, it was for some of these random films. As soon as I popped the 3D glasses on, the screen got really darker. And I just went, oh, God, this doesn't look good. And not just the darkness, like there are many elements where like there's lights floating where the actual 3D sort of configuration has not quite worked, and I can see the ghosting of, you know, just like eyes and faces and out of focus elements. If you don't know 3D, you shoot it on two cameras, the same width of distance of the eye, and then you present it in that. If you take your glass off, you can see two out of focus frames. The glasses are meant to resync that image to give you the depth perspective. And I found it many times in my screening, which is as good as you can get at the BFI IMAX. It's just not aligned well, and it leads over 3 hours and 20 minutes with my eyes really straining. And like in my day-to-day life, I've got good eyes, I don't struggle to see, but in that screening, George, I was taking the glasses off for some of the talky scenes just to rest my eyes, because I was constantly dealing with what I imagine is like my eyes dealing with a fake depth perception that's not really there. And the 3D tech is just, it's not enjoyable. I did enjoy it. I would love to watch a de-specced out version of Avatar in cinemas. I'd like to take the IMAX, and if you want to shoot it all in high frame, that's fine, but I'd really love to go and see it not in 3D. And I think it's like you either see it in 2D or you see it with everything. And so or see it not in IMAX, or you see it with everything. And so I'd kind of like, the premiere was always going to be everything for you. But and I speaking to Fred about this, we were saying how like James Cameron's the only one left doing 3D. And everyone else seems to have abandoned it. And Fred made this point of like, it's like James Cameron's really doubled down on this technology, and it's almost like he's gone so hard on it. He's like the last man really being this ambassador for 3D technology, and he's probably built studios around it and all of this. Like he can't now back out and just go, oh, we're just going to do it in 2D because like you're the 3D guy. And it just does feel like nobody else is doing it. Like if 3D was big, Joseph Kosinski's films would be in 3D. Denis Villeneuve's films would be in 3D. Nolan's films would be in 3D, and then not.
Also, it's led by the audience. Audiences showed in the last decade when 3D came back again that they weren't up for it. It cost more. It didn't enhance the filmmaking experience. It gave you 30% light loss. It wasn't always matched up properly, as you were saying. Audiences voted with their wallets, and they didn't want it. And you're right, James Cameron, because he has the sway, which has also given him extended run times, he's just held on to it. But I actually I've never understood why people want 3D in a movie.
No, and it's quite like you're watching it, and because I haven't done it for so long, I'm like, God, I don't like this at all. I don't like and of anyone. That if 3D was to still make a case, Avatar Fire and Ash should have been the best representation of that tech. And I'm watching it, and I have quite a good eye for, you know, just generally like things I look at cameras and visual stuff all the day. Like I don't think it's working very well as a display screen technology. And I'm at the best screen in the UK, and I'm just like, it's not working. I also just want to talk about frame rate. I mean, a big thing when I saw Avatar: The Way of Water, that the film is switching between 24 and 48 frames per second. It still happens in this, and I still think it's a really big problem. Just briefly, for those of you who don't know, all video and films is shot at 24 frames per second. It's just been the rule for a really long time, and it's what we're very much used to, and it's what dictates normal motion. Some film,
and it's at 20, there's something particular about 24 frames per second that kind of matches how we kind of see motion in our everyday lives, right? So it seems natural, and I'm thinking of the Toby Jones speech in Empire of Light, a film that no one else, it's completely forgotten, but like that's true, isn't it? But then they double it sometimes.
So actually, it's a really funny one. You know, when you look at really old, like first ever films, and the motion is all like stoppy and starty, sometimes it seems like they're running around, and that's because the number of frames per second in cinema wasn't standardized, and often it was people cranking at different speeds depending on how long you were winding the film. And then theatres had to play it at a certain speed. And if that was out of sync with what the theatres played it at, you had a weird looking motion film. It was only when the introduction of sound came into film that you had to lock in your frame rate, because if you didn't have the sound matched up to the frames, you would have sound that'd be out of sync. So that's where 24 frames came in, right? So filmmakers use higher frame rates to shoot slow motion all the time. You put that many frames in the same amount of time in a second, you've got more frames, you captured more amount of frames in that time. Peter Jackson shot famously the Hobbit trilogy in 48 frames a second, and it gave this extra fluidity to it, but he shot the whole film in 48 frames per second. It gave a very mixed reaction, and it looked a little bit hyper-real, a little bit sitcom-y. I actually didn't mind it, but I didn't mind because the whole film was like consistent. That. James Cameron, he's done this with 2, and he's done this with 3. Certain scenes, especially the flying, the swimming, fight scenes are shot in 48, but a lot of the time it cuts over the shoulder to 24 frames per second scene, and it cuts to the dialogue scenes for 28 frames a second scene. And when I'm already dealing with distorted 3D and 3.5 hours long, and it's a big screen, and it's choppy, and then it's smooth, I know exactly what's going on because I know that it's being frame rates changed. I'm sure people who aren't as au fait with like motion in media don't know exactly what's happening, but I really think it adds to this like jittery, fatigue, incomplete, rush cut feel that I think Avatar has, and it gives me this impression that like it feels incomplete and rushed, like I'm watching something that's been released too soon. So I can't express this enough. You might not know exactly what you're watching, but if you do get the chance to see it in high frame rate, you're going to notice like some things are really smooth. And I'm not a snob about 48 frames. I'm really not just going to say like you can't release a film like that. I just really don't like the cutting in between. And so like you add a long film just like plot-wise, I'm starting to get a bit bored and fatigued with. And then you add the fatigue I'm getting on my eyes and my brain and feeling very overstimulated in a massive screen, uncomfortable in my seat. The film's not as bad as maybe I'm feeling in my seat, but I'm starting to get like overstimulated and a little bit bored.
It's quite a shame because, you know, almost in the initial half of your review, you had a lot of warmth for the film, and I believe that you still do. But it's like the film is its own worst enemy. Yeah. And all this extra layering that it's put on and all this extra technicality is holding it back. And it's a shame, actually, because I can hear the sort of twin arguments in your mind.
There are a lot of really positive reviews for the film, and a lot of people I've spoken to have really enjoyed it. Like I went with a friend of ours, Matt Bentley, and he said, it's a lot silly, but he had a really good time. Fred, like who's been on the show, he said, he thinks it's much better than 2, and I totally agree. And it's not a bad film. I can't sit here and be like, oh, this and that. But it gives me so many opportunities to be like just quite fatigued by it. And if this film, which I wish it was something just a lot more challenging and maybe like a bit more political, I could like really like sink my teeth into it, but I can't. And I'm just left with a lot of contingencies. And I would really like to just strip all this, just cut it down, strip it out. Where do our characters need to be? What are we doing? Can we just display it in a normal format? And that's just where I'm at with it. I actually think it took a lot of restraint for filmmakers like Christopher Nolan when they were doing like when he was doing The Dark Knight Rises. I bet he had a lot of pressure to release that in 3D, but didn't. Like in 2010, 2011, 2012, and to double down and not do it when so many Marvel films and DC films were being like put into 3D later. And I really felt like Cameron is the only one now doubling down on this with this big release. It becomes so obvious now watching it that this isn't the way, and we've moved on, and we don't buy 3D televisions at home anymore. We don't like glasses. I hate to focus so much on the tech, but actually the tech is one of the most interesting and one of the best parts about the film. But also I feel like you could have made this even more seamless. So that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. I'm sure if maybe you see it in 2D in a much more like de-specced out version, maybe you just don't have these problems like I do. But even if you watch 48 frames footage in 24, you've still got the shutter motion of the high frame rate in your
Yeah.
lower frame rate. So it does technically affect it. But that's where I'm at with it.
I think that's a very balanced review from you there, James. I've taken it all on board. I mean, I don't currently have any plans to necessarily rush out and see it anyway, but thank you. If you guys have seen Avatar Fire and Ash, do send in your thoughts to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. I will flag that because we're pre-recording a lot of stuff because of the holidays,
New Year, yeah.
it might be the new year before we can read them out, but that's fine because you can all go off and watch it, and we'll come back in the new year and we'll read out everyone's thoughts.
And you know when a film is like, when you're watching a film, often your mind, it shouldn't be thinking so much about like what's good about this, what's bad about this, because a film, especially an action film, right, is a roller coaster, and it goes and it moves, and it's only afterwards you get sort of more crystallized in your thoughts of it. I had so much time in this film to think about what I wasn't enjoying and why that character's not so good. If a character's average in a film and they don't spend so much time in them because they move on to the next thing, I'm not given too much time to pontificate about it in my seat, but I really had a lot of time to just sit and wonder. So if you go and see it and you're already excited, fantastic. Pee before you go in. Let us know. I want to know, like, were you already a fan? Were you interested? You just take them as they come and you liked it or loved it?
Can you say a non-spoiler moment that is a good moment for people to go and pee? He's replaying the movie at 48 frames per second.
Just going through 3.5 hours of movie. Maybe when Neytiri flies into the human base. On a little mini birdie thing.
Okay.
It goes on for a while, and she does what she does. You can pee there. Okay. That's about halfway through. That's when I thought I was ending. That's what I thought I was ending.
Okay, that was Avatar Fire and Ash.
George, should we go through some of the emails that we get sent into the show every single week? As always, guys, if you want to send in your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, your reviews,
you can send them into
hello.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Hello at
pulpkitchenpod.com.
Just
like
Cara has.
Hi,
Cara's written in with an email entitled Throwback. Cara writes, "Hey, James and George, I emailed back in what now feels like forever ago, in February 2023, saying that I was doing my A-levels in preparation to hopefully go to Sussex University that September.
Where we met.
Our alma mater, of course. I almost completely forgot I sent an email, but hey, here I am, still loving films and still catching up with your podcast. Well, 3 years later, and here I am in my final year, starting my dissertation, and still keeping...
Cara, we would walk down the halls that you do now, talking about films and actually talking about starting a podcast one day. Just know that.
And still keeping up with your podcast. My time at Sussex has been incredible. Wouldn't change a thing. The chance to study film, a subject I love, and help from your podcast, which I've grown to love and enjoy even more, has been amazing. I just wanted to say that this podcast has really helped me in my growing love for film, and seeing your channel grow to what it is now, I feel like a proud mum, as I pride myself on being one of the OGs, as I remember the days of food at the beginning of the episodes. Wow, it's crazy how time flies and how much can change. Always a good week when a new episode comes out. I just wanted to say thank you, Cara. Cara, thank you so much. That's a
so
lovely
nice.
email. Yes, we both went to Sussex. That was great. I studied film at Sussex.
Yeah.
I want to know what dissertation module you're doing.
Yes, details.
I did adaptation. Are you doing adaptation? Are they still doing that? Is Michael Lawrence still teaching there? Have you had any seminars with him? Niall, is he still working there? I had a great time at Sussex, and they have a really good film department there, and I'm just delighted that you've enjoyed it.
And it's really nice you're saying, in these years, it's when, like, because you're studying film as well, but just in general, like, you really develop your film taste. Like, that happened to me and so many people who go to uni. You meet other film fans for the first time, and you go to the pub and discuss great films. It's such a great part of maturing into a film, into your film love.
You know what, Cara, I'd like to know? Email in if you want to and let us know what's the best film you've discovered through your course.
Oh, yeah, great shout.
Because I would say that when I was there, A Brief Encounter was a great discovery.
Nice.
I'd have to go back and look at the specific ones, but like I had some real moments where I would see things that I wouldn't have never normally seen, and I thought, wow, that was amazing. Or Calhona Ho is another one. Thank you, Cara.
This next one is from Tim from Australia. He says, "Hello, gents." Gents.
Did you put on your Antipodean?
Gents.
Hello, gents.
I just wanted to buck the trend and say I discovered you by complete chance on Spotify.
Hey.
I've always
James, why are we posting all these stuff on social media when people could just discover us by chance?
That's the SEO of putting a film podcast in your title. I've always been a very casual watcher of movies, never really putting too much thought into them other than that was fun or that was crap. But I've recently taken an interest in nitty-gritty details, such as how certain camera angles or lighting is used to convey a message or how sound design can affect the mood of a scene. I wanted to find a podcast that would scratch this newfound itch, and so I searched for film podcasts on Spotify and found you.
Hey.
Your love for cinema is infectious, and I've been been an avid listener ever since. I always learn something new and have frequently shouted, "That's exactly what I think," at your opinions of various movies. I am way behind in your library as I have to start from the beginning when I find a new podcast. I'm currently listening to EP 49, but I'm catching up as I listen to at least 2 episodes a day.
Here we
George,
go.
what were we talking about in episode
Okay.
49? Bear in mind, I have to scroll back.
So I know that episode 50 was just after we'd been to the Crown season 5 premiere. So, but I think that would have been episode 51.
I have it. I have the answer.
Okay, so this is late. This is like November 2022.
Yeah.
So is it the Crown?
Yeah.
Oh, it is the Crown.
Crown season 5 first impressions.
Wow.
We still talk about the Crown all the time.
Yeah, we do.
After that,
That goes to show you, by the way, Netflix, that just goes to show you the fact that we still talk about that
still
event
talk.
was because it was
When
a
they're
bloody good event. So keep inviting us to stuff.
after that, it was our 50th, but
Yes.
then we did Black Panther: Wakanda Forever,
Oh, okay.
which feels like sooner, but there it is. Blah, 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 blah. I listened to 2 episodes a day.
Wow.
For future Tim, who has made. Wait. Do you listen to the new ones? And then,
I think he is an avid listener, but he's gone back, and
Well, if Tim is re-listening to this from the future, hello Tim. from
hello
the
Tim,
future.
and also for other listeners, he's getting his 2 a day. That's
Yeah.
doctor recommended. I
2
hope.
a day.
You,
An old one and a new one.
you have a fever. Take 2 of these a day. Call me in the morning.
Tim goes on to say, anyway, I will get to the point and ask my question of the 2 of you. My apologies, this has already been asked at this point. You're both very analytical and critical when it comes to movies. You have both said previously that stilted dialogue, subpar action, or pacing issue has taken you out of a movie.
Yes.
A casual viewer like myself would probably overlook it and leave the cinema thinking it was all right, whereas you might think it was fine. But do you think that having such critical minds can be a bane when watching movies as you just can't switch off and enjoy the pretty colours? Or do you think it's a boon? Especially in movies that an average punter may not get because they're not picking up on subtext and subtleties. Keen to hear your thoughts in 6 months when I finally catch up on the backlog. Much love, Tim from Australia.
Good question. So I think we've had this conversation
Yeah,
a few times,
yeah.
and I think that it's changed the longer that we've done the show.
Yeah.
But speaking for myself, I find that I always like to say I try and watch all things the same.
Yeah.
Whether I'm watching it for pleasure or whether I'm watching it for the show, because ultimately, when you guys go and watch something, you're going to be wanting to watch it just in the same way that you normally would. I don't
Yeah.
want to change how I'm doing it into some sort of different work mode.
Yeah.
However, naturally, by doing this for 4 years, sometimes the critic voice in my head can be
quite
a little
loud.
loud, and sometimes it's not about it. It's always interesting, but I sometimes need to dial it up or down. Sometimes it's not relevant. And an interesting example is right now when I've been covering Stranger Things. It's the first time I've actually reviewed it. I've always just watched it
pleasure.
casually as a viewer. Now I have to watch it and review it. There's another part of my brain that's slightly activating, but I'm learning to sort of say, well, hang on, don't talk about it any differently than you would have done if you were a normal viewer, because that misses the whole point. What about you?
Similar. So mine really varies film to film. So because
Yes.
doing the show for 4 years, I have this sort of like thought in my head of what am I going to say on my inevitable film podcast coming out within a week.
Yes.
That does happen in my mind, and I do sometimes try to quiet that because it's not a normal way to experience
Yeah.
film. But I find that voice is louder and quieter in different films. It's not necessarily if it's good or bad. I think just like
Yes,
the type
agreed.
of film generally tends to lend that voice louder or quieter. So for example, recently I watched Train Dreams, which is a film I really enjoyed, and the voice in my head was so loud because I was so excited to
Yes,
talk about it. I was
yes.
like, oh, that's such an interesting point. I made a couple of notes as I was watching it. And I had a point I really want to make about it, which is like, oh, that's really excited me and then actually like improved my love because my internal monologue is going. But then there's sometimes I wish maybe I could switch that off. So maybe when I watched one battle after another, I knew the film was going to be good. People had a lot of hype. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson film, Leonardo DiCaprio film. I was like trying to start crafting things in my head and had to be like, just watch the film.
Yes.
If you're going to enjoy it, that's great. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say when you eventually want to say it. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I felt like Avatar, I had so much time. I was like, in order to just like keep myself going, I would just start coming up with things that are wrong with it. So yes and no.
I think that that's what's often beneficial about a second viewing. It's that
Yeah.
like if you can just like if you feel like the voice in your head was too loud the first time, you can relax the second time.
Yeah.
Because almost the first time you're as you're saying, you're trying to see where it goes. I also think that to quote your email, Tim, there are films that I love that I can just go, oh, I'm just going to sit back and watch the pretty colours.
Yeah.
And there are other films that get you excited. And there are good films where you have a quiet voice in your head, and there are good films where you have a loud voice in your head.
Yeah.
And bad films where you have a loud voice, and bad films where you have a quiet voice. So that's to answer your question.
Yes and no.
Yes and no, Tim. This next email is from friend of the show, journalist Adam Barlow.
Salute you, journalist.
Reporting from the front lines about Zootropolis 2 is the best Disney sequel of the decade.
Nice. Headline.
Headline. Yeah. He's got this under
Shock
a
horror.
word count, hasn't he? You can tell. Hi, I can hear you flicking through your notepad now, Adam.
Yeah.
Hiya, lads. Just with a pencil tucked behind his ear.
Yes, yeah.
Hi, lads. Just a quick one.
A coffee cup.
A coffee cup. He's on a typewriter.
Yeah.
Like the newsroom in Zodiac.
Yeah.
Just a quick one from me after hearing about Zootropolis 2's huge box office success. It has broken records and has almost reached, at the time of writing, $600 million worldwide. Madness.
We covered this on Double Take. That's insane.
That's a huge amount of... That's like Dr. Evil money. You want to put your
Yeah.
little finger up and go, that's $600 million.
People love those talking animals, man. Worldwide.
I rewatched the 2016 film in preparation and couldn't believe how well it
Yeah,
had
I
held
remember it
up.
being good.
Yeah, such a vibrant world with jokes that fly past you and real adult themes. Then I went to see the sequel on Saturday, and I think it might be even better.
Yeah.
The mystery is more complex and adds background to the city of Zootropolis/Zootopia, depending on which territory you're in. There are so many film references and creative ideas in every corner of the world, and there are multiple scenes where the emotional weight creeps up on you. There's one scene on a cliff face that made the whole packed midday screening fall silent. It was remarkable. It's Disney's best sequel, rom-com, and buddy cop movie of the decade. I'm surprised too. Totally loved it. Excited to hear your thoughts, Adam. What a great review.
Great review, yeah. I've been meaning to get to it, but just been so busy, and mainly because it's done such crazy numbers. I want to see the hype. But I've really liked Zootropolis 1.
Yes,
I've heard
same.
great things about Zootropolis 2, and if you're on the fence, you should just go and see it because I think throw them a bone, give them a few quid.
I think they'll be happy that that's going to run in cinemas for a long time.
Yeah.
That's going to be around for a while. And Disney's probably like putting that and Avatar out. They're having a very good Christmas.
Family Christmas stuff. People need to see stuff. Families need to see stuff at Christmas. They've got time off. No, like generally, it's
They
like
do,
a
yeah.
marketing thing. This next one is from Lotta, who writes in about Frankenstein.
Lotta? Oh, that's a good name.
Or Yotta.
No, I think it's Lotta. Oh,
Finland.
I think Lotta. I was expecting Lottie, but you're right. It's Lotta.
Dear George and James, I've been following the podcast ever since I came across a clip from you playing the game where James had to guess the names of movies in French.
SOS Phantoms.
What was that?
That was Ghostbusters.
Oh, nice.
I should have made you guess it. Yeah, I should have made you guess it.
I thoroughly enjoy the two of you together and always look forward to new episodes.
Thank you.
I don't know if you've already moved on with the discourse, but I decided to send in my thoughts on Frankenstein. No, interested to hear because it's been very actually
Yes.
mixed thoughts on Frankenstein.
Yes, you reviewed it. Go check out James's review. You quite liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a good little dose of Frankenstein for me. Lotta writes in, Lotta says, now, I have to preface this by saying that I studied literature at uni and have always loved Gothic stories and fairy tales, so Del Toro's Frankenstein should be right up my alley. Add to this the fact that I am already a trained prop maker working at a professional theatre, and so I have a huge respect for the love and care that Del Toro takes to create his worlds. The production design, the props, the costumes, etc. are as much part of the storytelling as the characters. Imagine my disappointment when I watched Frankenstein and didn't enjoy it. There were elements that deserved applause, but as a whole, it left me cold. One issue I had was with the pacing. There was a lot happening at the beginning of the movie, the North Pole expedition, the childhood scenes, the demonstration of Victor's work. Excuse me. And I felt like although there was constantly something happening, we were jumping so fast that I didn't get to sit with the characters or settle into the story. Once we got to the section set at the lab and the scenes between Victor and the creature, the movie started to become interesting. But when we switched to the creature story POV, it felt like a moment had passed. Yeah, I remember mentioning that like he's getting through it a lot. He's pushing through it. He's maybe covering more than he needs to. And my takeaway was that I reckon if you wanted, you could do Frankenstein over 6 hours in a series. Like you could really let those moments breathe. But no, I hear your point. Another thing that didn't work for me was the characters of Elizabeth and Mia Goth's delivery of her lines. She came across as flat and soulless compared to the heightened drama of Oscar Isaac's performance. Yes, I understand that she's supposed to be a lady of that time period and so she's expected to behave a certain way, but I never felt like she had much to do or say. Finally, James also mentioned the clunky CGI in his review. I watched the behind-the-scenes documentary on Netflix in which they said they had actually used real wolves for filming the scenes and then digitally enhanced them. That was a stupid decision and completely unnecessary. If that's true, it does not come across. It really doesn't come across. All in all, I found myself not caring about the characters and remaining a distant observer rather than being sucked into the story. Some of the dialogue was also very heavy-handed. We don't need to be told that Victor is the monster when we have seen everything he's done throughout the movie. Ultimately, I feel sad and disappointed since I'd looked forward to this and wanted to love it like I've loved Del Toro's previous films. I remember watching his Pinocchio and crying because it touched me, but sadly, Frankenstein was unable to do the same. All the best to you during this festive season and have a happy new year. Yotta from Finland.
So you'll go for Yotta?
I don't know. I'm so sorry if I've got it wrong. It could be Lotta.
I think I'm going to say Lotta, but maybe it is Yotta. But also, I don't think we get much correspondence from Finland. So
hi.
I've
been to Helsinki.
Yes, you had a nice time about the saunas and the military turned up.
Yes. They shut me down filming.
I think we recorded that on the show.
It was a prison guards. You can't film outside a prison in Helsinki. They'll shut you down with rifles in vans.
So I tried to watch Frankenstein before I went on holidays, and I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. I really liked Frankenstein the novel. I studied it at school and at uni, so I was very familiar with it. And I just put it on for 20 minutes. It just wasn't for me. I'm thinking I might go back to it. Just something about being in the, if you excuse the term, the arse end of the year, and it's cold and bleak. I'm thinking in between Christmas and New Year.
It's a good time to watch it.
Just park myself on a sofa.
You've got time, and I think you should watch it at home with time. Enjoy.
You see that furry blanket there, James?
You wrap that around.
I'm going to wrap that around.
Yeah. Like you could just really sort of settle into it.
This next email is from Grace, who writes in about product placement. Hello, George and James, James and George. Second time emailer here. I hope you're both doing well. Just a quick email. I wanted to ask if either of you have noticed a lot of product placement going on in cinemas lately. I went to see Now You See Me Don't. Oh, Now You See Me Now You Don't, sorry, a few weeks back and thought that near towards the end of the film, the characters discuss a fruity alcoholic drink, which I thought was odd and didn't see what point it played in the film. And then last week, I went to see The Running Man, which, by the way, I loved.
Nice. Long
live Glenn Powell and his chase to superstardom. Is he the new Tom Cruise? Anyway, there was some obvious product placement of liquid death.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little too sensitive, but I find it so annoying when films do this. It screams marketing to me, and that's for the trailers, not the film itself, right? What are your thoughts on this? All the best, Grace. I missed the liquid death placement in
it was
Man.
there. But a really egregious example recently was in Jurassic World Rebirth.
that was insane.
With the Snickers, and also they were all drinking was it like Heineken Zero or Budweiser's, whatever there's, I don't remember.
And the when they go into the old gas station, it's the M&Ms, Lay's potato chips.
Just on the table where they're planning, move all the confectionery. And the 0% beer implementation to me was particularly bad because in a movie 20 years ago, they'd be having a Budweiser or whatever beer they would have. But for them all to be enjoying a 0% beer simultaneously is really weird. Yeah. I can understand if like Budweiser, just for this example, is the beer they serve at this like Costa Rican beachside hut. I can totally believe that. Yeah. Fine. If you want to slap a brand, it cool. I don't believe all of them have a 0%.
No. I don't believe those kind of bars stock 0%. The 0% option is having a Coke.
Mahershala Ali's character in that film is not a 0% beer guy.
No, he's seen some shit.
He's having a beer. Sorry.
Hasn't he got a dead son in that movie?
Maybe.
I'm just, sorry, everyone deals with it differently, but I don't think he'd be on 0%.
It was just distracting. I was like, you're all on 0%?
Yeah. Come on. The thing is, just to answer your question, Grace, about why it's egregious, but it is how a lot of movies reclaim some of their budget. Yeah. I mean, didn't we say on Double Take about Formula One?
Yeah.
Had it made back a third of its budget
from just product placement?
Yeah. But that got away with it because Formula One is already really branded.
So I was kind of like, it was always going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Ninja air fryers going all around there?
Absolutely, yeah. But it is insane. But they got to make their money somehow.
This next one is from Eden, friend of the show, who writes in and says, "Hello, lads. Everyone's a friend of the show.
Everyone's a friend of the show, but you're also a friend of the show if you're a celebrity and we've interviewed you. That automatically makes you a friend of the show.
You and Joel Edgerton are friends of the show.
yeah.
We not actually
completely different.
Did we interview Joel Edgerton?
Yeah. He turned up, and we'll mention this when we review Train Dreams, but almost looking like his character.
Yes.
Cowboy hat.
Fresh off the set at the Pacific Northwest.
Little cravat. Yeah, he looks great. Well, no neckerchief, he looked great.
Hello, lads, Eden says. Was listening to an episode while writing this, and someone mentioned in an email that they have been listening to you since 126. That made me think about the first episode.
Sorry.
Okay.
We've got to do the game.
What were we talking about in episode 126?
Did we do this? No, we did do this. Sorry, we've done this because this is a previous email. This is the one that was the Fall Guy and Challenges and Baby Reindeer.
Yes, we have.
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
That made me think about the first episode I listened from you guys. Funnily enough, I have a very, very vivid memory of my first listen as I was sitting in a sun lounger in Menorca in June of 2022.
Nice.
To be more specific, I arrived for my holiday on the 15th of June, which would equate to me listening to episode 28 as my first episode ever.
Okay.
I went back and checked what this was and won't spoil it for you, as I know like George likes to deduce what the topic was. So George, episode 28. Stand by. Scrolling back. Scrolling
I wonder
back.
if I can get this in a bullseye.
Scrolling back. Scrolling back. Okay. I have it. Oh, I don't know. Okay.
Is it best about the TV? Is it about the
No.
Is it Jurassic Park rewatch? Jurassic World Dominion.
Okay, so after that, we reposted a breakout review of Jurassic World Dominion. So your one.
Is it
post-
rewatching Jurassic Park?
No.
Is it Top Gun? Watching Top Gun for the first time?
It's-
No, okay, I'm getting there.
It's not a film.
It's an editorial.
Yeah.
Is it movies with one great scene?
No.
Movies with underrated actors?
No.
Double bills?
Yes.
No!
Great movie, Double Bills.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Eden.
Onto my question. We will always do that if you bring it up. Onto my question finally. I do consider myself a huge film nerd and have done for quite a long time. But something that I do kind of keep to myself is that sometimes I really don't understand the roles and jobs on film sets. More specifically, what does a director do on a film set? I get the cliche of saying action and cut, but how far does it go? Is it more that they have final say on everything that happens? We see all film announcements and go straight to the cast list, but also the director, which shapes our optimism on the film based on the director's previous projects. I was hoping you could shed some light on what goes on during a film production. I've never really dived into it previously, but recently there was a whole controversy of Jordan Peele being listed very obviously in the trailer for him and as a producer, which made everyone very excited that it was his film, but of course was directed by Justin Tipping and didn't end up being a great film as a whole. So I had a friend go, "Oh, there's a new Jordan Peele film."
Yeah, and you're
I was
like, no.
So how much sway would Jordan Peele have had on this film as a producer? Eager to hear your insight. Keep it up as always, guys. Already on the countdown for EP 300 to hopefully attend live for the first time.
Hey.
Kind regards, Eden.
Great question. So let's start with producer as an example.
Yeah.
A
Very open term.
very open term, particularly, I mean, don't even get started on executive producer. My God, that's even more open.
yeah.
But a producer is someone who, let's say they work for a movie studio, who the film is their project. They want to get the movie made, right? So they might be pulling in the money. They're usually the money men.
Financing.
Right? Financing, and they want to get the movie made. So they are the one who set about hiring people. And typically the producers, they hire the director because the producers aren't necessarily making creative decisions. They want to hire a director. Now the director, you've got to remember, is the person who has creative oversight of the whole thing. Might not have final cut. That might be the studio sometimes. But they have creative oversight from the very inception of the project to the very end. Whereas other people in the film might come and go through pre-production, production, and post-production. So producers will often, one of their first port of calls will be selecting a director. A good example is Amazon are the producers of James Bond recently, and they have hired Denis Villeneuve as the director and the creative to make the creative decisions on their behalf. And the relationship between director and producers is one of the key relationships throughout the history of cinema. People falling out with their producers, people falling out with their directors.
Kevin Feige is the producer of the MCU, like an executive, but he produces the MCU and he hires the directors to do the job and they work together on it, right?
Yes, exactly. And then
talent often get, like, if for example, director producer wants to make a film and they say, listen, for example, George Clooney, if you attached yourself to this film, we could get it made. Do you mind doing that? And he says, yeah, cool. I'll get a producer credit. Also, I'm George Clooney. I want it to be made like this and this. Therefore, creative input put into it. He gets a producer credit versus the rest of the cast.
Also, you're saying about what does director do on set? He just signs off on every single creative decision. Sorry, there's me using his. I shouldn't say that at all, actually. Their creative decision. Correcting myself there. Any decision that the film, any creative decision that the film needs to make, they oversee it because whether it's, we don't have that kind of lighting available, or that actor's not available on that day, or we can't shoot in that place now because it's going to rain tomorrow, that all gets funneled up for this person to ultimately sign off of. All directors, when they talk about being on set, it's like, you're just making 1,000 decisions a day. and
dealing with limitations.
you're dealing with
time
limitations, yeah,
constraints
and you have support. You
egos.
have people who handle logistics. Anyway,
I will say that like the function of the term director has like a different meaning in commercial and like cinema, in high cinema. So like a commercial director is actually probably a lot less attached and hired for the day to functionally direct the people on the day. And yes, it's like a creative thing, but they're literally there to like tell people where to be and what, keeping on time.
you're talking about like advertising shoots and things.
Yeah,
like
like a commercial director.
Yeah,
They're not
totally,
necessarily as attached the creative of it, but they're responsible for like having people be in the right place and
Yeah.
making things move. And then I think in cinema, without a doubt, the director role has been like altered and valorized to be this like key architectural artist who's navigated everything together, and their creative decisions on the day are what made it what it was. When really like they're not often deciding that on the day. Like a lot of those things have already been pre-decided in pre-production,
But they
and it's
ultimately-
executing on the day and like dealing with actors and like directing your actors functionally to do what they need to do on the day.
Yeah.
Versus a producer would not necessarily, or shouldn't, I'm sure it does happen, like be telling the director sort of how to make it happen on that day.
No, but it depends on the project, depends on
Yeah.
the money, depends on the size of the director, depends on the size of the producer.
Yeah,
There's so
you'll
many
often see
factors.
directors and directors also having produced the film because you get so entwined with it.
Yeah.
You're technically part of the funding, and also like if like we said with an actor, if an actor gets attached to a film, it can get funded. If a director gets attached to a film, that could mean it get funded.
A really interesting example is that people like Tom Cruise is actually a major producer
Yeah.
of his own work. He produces in it and he stars in it, and so the director role on Tom Cruise projects is a really interesting position
Good
because
collaboration,
he-
really.
they are in the service of Tom Cruise. They need to make Tom Cruise look good, but they also work for Tom Cruise. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's kind of
but it's also quite varied.
yeah, it's as broad as it is long.
And those are the emails that we got sent into the show. Thank you so much for sending them in. As always, make sure you send your questions, your concerns to hello@popkitchenpodcast.com, and we'll read them out in a future episode of the show. We've got lots of films coming up, so let us know what you think. We want to
Yeah.
hear all of your, and what you watch over Christmas.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely. And we just will caveat it again that if we don't read it out immediately because we're pre-recording things because it's Christmas, guys, we
We'll
will
get
get to eventually. Shall we end with a game?
Let's do it.
James, as ever, Pulp Kitchen ends
With a game.
/ sport
It's
exercise. And today is going to be one of those.
We have to have a better word for it than thought exercise.
It's a very school
Yeah,
term,
thought
isn't it?
exercise.
Okay. Oh, well, first of all, actually, just some any other business before I forget. First of all, Johnny English, right?
Yeah.
We put out a special about the best comedy movies after we did a poll and everything.
Yeah.
Please go check that out. We mentioned Johnny English in it. We loved it very much. Do you want to guess what the Johnny English Rotten Tomatoes score is?
Ooh, Johnny English won.
Yeah.
What do people think of Johnny English? I mean, personally, George, it's like an 85
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go 71.
James,
Don't disappoint me.
James,
don't.
I love you, but
No.
33.
Fuck off.
That's
man.
criminal.
That's bullshit.
That is bullshit. That's not a bad movie.
That's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Get
it's
out of
so
town.
wrong.
Anyway.
Who's marking it down? Who had a
Arseholes.
bad time?
I don't know.
You had a bad time?
The French?
It might not be like
they
it's
offended
silly.
by
It's
Sauvage?
the French. Yeah, it's really silly.
Yeah.
You had a bad time? Johnny English
Get
won?
over yourself. I think it's because it came out probably pre-Rotten Tomatoes, and the only reviews that have
Yeah.
percolated in there are like DVD releases.
Shame on you.
Shame on
people.
you if you've marked
you're
Johnny
listening
English
and
down.
You've marked Johnny English down.
Also-
this is not a place safe space for you.
Further to our Best Comedies episode, if you are an overseas listener who's not from the UK, who wasn't familiar with Johnny English, because we weren't sure how familiar it was
Yeah,
outside the
yeah,
UK,
yeah.
let us know if you've seen it or you're going to see it, and let us know your thoughts.
And then give it a rating out of
Yeah.
100. Not that that's how Rotten Tomatoes works.
No,
obviously, as you think.
not that again. Secondly, I watched The Grinch this week.
Oh,
Right?
fantastic.
And I mention this because we mentioned this in the Best Comedy movies fleetingly. You mentioned
Yeah.
this, like, for example, people think of it as a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch on that. So obviously I watched it because it's Christmas and everyone, rates it as a Christmas movie and a lot of people watch it. But genuinely, I really do think that it is one of the best comedy movies,
Yeah.
or at least one of the most underrated comedy movies.
Yeah.
There are so many gags in that film, almost a gag a minute, and it's all just Jim Carrey's star power. And I've seen that film, James, probably 10 times.
Yeah.
I always spot a new joke.
There's visual gags. It's Jim Carrey
everything.
speaking and shouting.
And I was
It's peak.
just laughing so much. And the jokes are really funny. And they go way over your head when you're a kid. They're not smarty or anything, but they're just like jokes about taxes and spanners. And oh my, it's just really, really good.
I like it, the visual one when he grabs the dishcloth from under the table. All the dishes don't move, but because he loves chaos, he just goes and fucks it up.
It's not a dress, it's a kilt. Sicko. And that's the thing. I also realize how much I quote that movie, and particularly in the Pundek family household back home. There are lines in The Grinch that are just always said.
Yeah.
That I've even forgotten that they come from The Grinch originally. Just like, was anyone emotionally traumatized? Oh,
At my family Christmas party, we had a lot of people with Betty Lou hair.
Oh,
like
God,
the thing.
yeah.
And then
Cindy
someone
Lou.
came, Cindy Lou, I know. And then somebody came as the woman who's like, Betty, hi! Which is a great outfit.
Martha May Huvier. So I'm like, that's a hill I will die on, but I think you agree.
Whenever I'm sorting something, it's yours.
It's
It's
yours,
yours.
now
It's
it's yours.
years to figure this
That's
out.
right. And that's what earlier we were doing something. We just filled it up, and I said, "Well, that's what these tests are for." You know, just the crash test dummy. Yeah. So it's a great comedy movie. I think it's a great comedy performance. It's not just a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It's better than that. Just want to say that. Anyway, brings us to our game/thought exercise.
Yes.
James, I'm reading a fantastic book at the moment about the Oscars and the history of the Oscars and Hollywood,
Yes.
and I've learned a lot. I've really enjoyed it. So my first question, this is an appetizer for the main game, is can you name, I don't think you can, the actor/actress who has won the most acting Oscars in history? This would be like a good one for the quiz.
It's not Meryl Streep.
It's not Meryl Streep because the game's going to be about Meryl Streep. It's a classic Hollywood actor.
Denzel?
No, a classic Hollywood, we're thinking. You might not get it.
Oh, it's no, go on.
That's right. So the actor is Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, right, yeah.
Won 4 Oscars in, I think, 4 different decades for On Golden Pond, The Lion in Winter, some other films. Go check them out. Great actor. But she holds the record still.
Is it that Streepy's got the most nominations?
Well, this is the thing. Yes,
okay,
so Streep is the most nominated.
Yeah.
For the record, Streep has won 3 times. This was a genuine conversation that Anna and I had because I've been reading this book and I thought this would be great for the show. Yeah. So first of all, Meryl Streep has won an Oscar 3 times. Can you tell me for what films that she won the Oscar for?
Sure, I don't think I know.
Okay, one is maybe do the most recent one, which was in the last 15 years.
What? I don't actually know what she's won an Oscar for.
Okay, I'll tell you. The Iron Lady.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
She won that in 2012. And then her other 2 Oscars came within 4 years of each other in 1980 and 1983, which was she won the Oscar for Sophie's Choice.
Yeah.
And Kramer versus Kramer for Best Supporting Actress. So, but James, she has a total, I want to say, of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 18 other nominations.
No.
So she's been nominated 21 times, won for 3 of those. So James, just shoot from the hip.
I don't know if I know that many Meryl Streep movies.
Can you tell me any of the other movies that she has been nominated for acting?
Did she get The Post?
The Post is correct, James. That is her most recent nomination in 2018.
Meryl Streep. Not for Devil Wears Prada, surely.
Yes, she was
She got
nominated for
Devil-
best actress, not even best supporting.
She's a best actress in that?
I think a miscategorization of that, but yes.
She'd be best supporting. It's probably because she's Meryl Streep.
That's
she
also
got
a
top
whole
of it.
thing in the book about who gets what category is a whole thing.
Yeah.
So yes, The Post, The Devil Wears Prada.
Logic suggests Mamma Mia, she's being thrown at things.
No, but no, fair enough, but no. Okay, why don't you at least think of the last 20 years? Think of Meryl Streep movies.
The Iron Lady you said.
Yes. Hugh Grant.
Meryl Streep and Hugh Grant.
That movie is Florence Foster Jenkins. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, I never saw that.
Not a bad movie, but a bit of a stretch to give her a nomination.
I'm like totally blanking on Meryl Streep.
I'm gonna. You know what I'm going to do, James? I'm going to go back to the beginning.
Yeah,
and
go to
work
the beginning.
forward. So I just thought it was an interesting thing because we all talk about Meryl Streep as this icon, but yes,
that is mental. She's got that many.
her first nomination came in 1979 for Best Supporting Actress for The Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
The following year, Best Supporting Actress, she won for Kramer versus Kramer. 1982, she was nominated for Best Actress for The French Lieutenant's Woman. Then the next year, she won for Sophie's Choice. Basically in the 80s, by the way, she gets nominated almost every year. The next year, she got nominated for Silkwood, then nominated for Out of Africa, Ironweed. By the way, Silkwood and Ironweed I've never heard of.
No.
A Cry in the Dark.
The Academy heard of it.
Yeah, they did, yeah. Postcards from the Edge, The Bridges of Madison County, One True Thing, Music of the Heart.
I've barely seen any of her films.
Adaptation, The Devil Wears Prada, Doubt, good movie.
Oh, yeah, I need to see that,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a good movie. Julie and Julia, The Iron Lady.
Julie and Julia.
Yeah, that's one about Julia
No, I
Child.
know the film.
But
I'm like, I have no disrespect to Meryl Streep. I'm always surprised that.
at this point, I feel like they just think,
default.
has Meryl got a movie
Yeah,
out?
yeah,
We'll give it to him. How about this for a forgotten movie? August Osage County.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Into the Woods was the other one. Do you remember the
They'll
James-
just if she appears in
if
something, she's gonna
yeah. If she has even the hint of makeup on, like prosthetics, they'll give it to her too. Then Florence Foster Jenkins, and then The Post.
Wow.
So, well, hats off to you, Meryl. Welcome on the show anytime.
Anytime.
We'd love to call you a friend of the show.
Yeah.
But well done, actually. I think we should say well done to her.
You're doing really great. Keep it up.
So she's won 3 times acting awards.
I think she'll get another one in her life. Logic
Another
suggest-
win.
Win.
But she needs to get a good role. What's a good role that she's going to land?
She's Meryl Streep.
Is 3 not enough?
I know, but I'm saying she might think I want.
She
that
might beat
record.
the Katharine
She's had a
Hepburn.
long career. You have to be not just acting for a long time, but acting in Academy nominated films for a long time.
By the
she
way,
probably wants it.
Also, she's not the only person to win 3. Frances McDormand has technically won 4, but only 3 acting ones. So Frances McDormand has won for Nomadland, 3 Billboards, and I want to say Fargo. But she also won because Nomadland won Best Picture, she was a producer on Nomadland. So she won the Oscar for that. So technically she has 4 Oscars, but
Is there,
only 3 for
is there
acting.
another producer on that film? Who's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
shared
probably,
it?
yeah.
I'd say you do. It's the film's Oscar. It's not. It's not your Oscar.
No,
do you
no.
know what I mean?
So hats off to you, Meryl. Well done. Who knows? Who knows if she'll get another one?
I reckon she's an ambitious gal.
Yeah.
She's probably eyeing up that record, going, "It's mine."
Yeah.
And then she'll forever go down as like one of the all-time greats.
the
which she
Swan
already
Song
is.
one, yeah.
Yeah, on paper.
Whoever's up against that year, you feel bad.
Yeah.
If she gets nominated for like a Best Actor performance as well, because we've seen Meryl do a lot of supporting roles, but if she comes back with a big, full, fat Best Acting performance nominated,
An important political.
when she's
Spielberg
in Josh
directed.
Safdie's new movie, then we're in trouble. Then watch out,
Then we're in
people.
trouble. Yeah.
Anyway,
That's good.
thank you guys for listening to this episode of Pulp Kitchen. As we said at the top of the show, please keep an eye out for loads more content coming on the feed throughout the holiday period, whether it's reviews of other films that are coming out, Stranger Things catch up again, just lots of bonus stuff. We've got lots of stuff coming out, even though we're going to be taking a well-earned break over Christmas.
Let me know what you think of Avatar, because I can't hear
Yeah.
anyone else really talking about it that much online. And
It's because the microphone's only go one way.
Yeah,
so that's why.
But it's like, if it's not going to be brought up that much, I know the film's not out yet, right?
Yeah.
But I know the film's not going to be brought up that much in this space. I would genuinely like to just know, A, if you were a big fan,
Yeah.
if you were, take it or leave it. I know we've already said this on the show, but I'm actually just curious to hear feedback from people over the Christmas break. Did your family members enjoy it? Did your parents enjoy it? Did
Yes.
your kids enjoy it? Because I don't know.
What does
I'm
Avatar
like
mean
a
to them?
stuffy, wanky nerd on the internet talking about, the film,
I was
the
always gonna
frame
say it,
rate,
James,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, I'm so unimportant. But like for the masses that are going to go and see it, you're not surprised that you're shocked to believe I don't think I'm that important.
Thank you very much to our producers, Finn, Dave, and Loz,
Nice
as
to meet you.
ever. And I hope you guys are just all, in general, well in this Christmas period. And all the best.
See you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.